All right, Bears fans, let's talk about something that might just tilt the scales for week 1 of the NFL season. We've been counting down the days, watching the training camp buzz build up, and now as we inch closer to the return of football, there's a developing situation in Minnesota that could give Chicago a serious edge right out of the gate. I'm talking about the potential suspension of Jordan Addison. Yeah, that's right, one of the key pieces of the Vikings offense. Might not even be suiting up on Monday Night Football when the Bears host Minnesota to open the season. Now, let's break this down. Jordan Addison, since stepping into the league, has been a solid and dangerous number 2 receiver behind Justin Jefferson. We're talking about a guy who, in just 2 years, has averaged around 65 receptions, 900 yards, and 10 touchdowns. That's not just some role player, that's a legit threat, a playmaker. Someone who stretches defenses, wins one-on-ones, and forces safeties to think twice before leaning toward Jefferson's side. He's explosive, reliable, and critical to what Minnesota wants to do offensively. But here's the twist. Addison is in hot water for a DUI incident from earlier this year, and this isn't his first driving-related issue since joining the NFL. When you stack that history, league policy tends to act a bit firmer. There's talk of a baseline 3-game suspension looming, and while nothing's official yet, the signs are pointing in that direction. The hearing is set, and depending on how things shake out, the Vikings could be without him in that Week 1 matchup against Chicago. For the Bears, that's potentially huge. Why? Because it completely changes how Chicago's defense can game plan. Without Addison on the field, the Vikings lose that balance in their passing attack. Jalen Johnson can focus on shadowing Justin Jefferson, and with safety help over the top, you start to like those odds a lot more if you're the Bears. The remaining options, Jalen Naylor, rookie Ty Felton, and maybe Rondale Moore if he even makes the team, those aren't names that strike fear into opposing secondaries. You take Addison out of the mix, and suddenly that Minnesota passing game looks a whole lot more manageable. And remember, the quarterback for Minnesota is a rookie. J.J. McCarthy is expected to get the nod to start his NFL career right there at Soldier Field under the bright lights of Monday Night Football. No Addison, maybe no Christian. Darrisaw and a hostile road environment? That's a tough way to make your debut. And speaking of Darrisaw, there's another layer to this potential advantage for the Bears. Darrisaw is the Vikings franchise left tackle, McCarthy's blindside protector, and arguably the most important offensive lineman. But he's recovering from a torn ACL and MCL that he suffered midway through last season, and from everything coming out of Minnesota, it sounds like his status for Week 1 is very much up in the air. We're talking about a 10-month recovery timeline for a position that requires quickness, power, and lateral agility on every snap. Reports suggest there's maybe a 10 to 20% chance he's ready for the season opener. So if he's out, that's another blow to Minnesota's offense, maybe even a bigger one than Addison's absence. Think about it, a rookie quarterback making his first career start on the road, potentially without his number 2 receiver, and without his best offensive lineman. That's not ideal. That's not what you want if you're Kevin O'Connell trying to ease your young QB into NFL speed. And for the Bears, that's a golden opportunity, because when you catch a team in transition, when you face a rookie signal caller before he's had time to get comfortable in the league, you have to take advantage. And let's not forget, this is not just any game. This is a divisional matchup. It's Week 1, yes, but these NFC North showdowns are going to mean everything this season. All 4 teams are dealing with brutal schedules. They all have to go through the AFC North and the NFC East, 2 of the toughest divisions in football. So the head-to-head games inside the division, they're going to carry even more weight. You want to win the division? You have to handle your business at home. And if you're the Bears facing the Vikings team without Addison and potentially Darrisaw, this feels like one of those matchups where you can't afford to let it slip. You just can't. The narrative flips completely if you lose. Think about Caleb Williams making his debut at home, all the hype, all the expectations, and he gets outplayed by J.J. McCarthy, the rookie making his first start on the road with a depleted offense. That would be a brutal way to start the season. That's why this game already has a playoff-type feel to it. Not in terms of elimination, obviously, but in terms of how important it might be for the rest of the year. You lose this one, you're immediately behind the 8 ball in the division. And let's be honest, winning in Minnesota later in the year is going to be a lot tougher. By then, McCarthy will have a few games under his belt, might have his full cast of weapons back, and the atmosphere in Minneapolis is never an easy one to navigate. But let's go back to the present. What does this mean schematically for the Bears? Well, without Addison, you can afford to shift more resources towards stopping Jefferson. Jalen Johnson is likely going to be tasked with mirroring him for most of the night, and with safety help, especially if the Vikings don't have another legitimate outside threat, you feel confident about being able to contain him. That doesn't mean shutting him out, but it means keeping him from taking over the game. And if you can do that, suddenly you force J.J. McCarthy to rely on unproven targets in high-pressure situations. That's when turnovers happen. That's when sacks happen. That's when the crowd gets into it, and Soldier Field becomes a nightmare for a young quarterback. And speaking of sacks, if Darius is out, that left side of the Vikings' offensive line could be a real problem. Justin School is the name being thrown around as a potential fill-in. He's a journeyman, a depth piece, not someone you want starting against Montez Sweat or DeMarcus Walker. Next to him could be rookie Donovan Jackson, who, while talented, is still adjusting to the speed and complexity of the NFL game. That left side could be under siege, and if the Bears want to take over this game early, that's where they'll attack. You know Matt Eberflus is gone. And now with Ben Johnson at the helm, there's an opportunity to be more aggressive, more creative. This is the kind of game where you unleash the defense, bring exotic looks, and really test a rookie quarterback's ability to process. You want to find out early if McCarthy can handle it, and if he can't, you bury them before halftime and ride the wave the rest of the way. Now, this also ties into Minnesota's game plan. They know starting a rookie quarterback on the road is risky, especially in prime time. That's why they've invested in the run game this offseason. They added Aaron Jones, brought in Jordan Mason from San Francisco, 2 physical downhill runners who can take pressure off the quarterback. Expect them to lean on the run early and often. But again, if you're the Bears and Addison isn't out there, you can commit more defenders to the box. You don't have to play as much nickel. You can bring extra bodies and dare McCarthy to beat you with his arm, throwing to guys like Ty Felton or Naylor. That's the defensive plan right there. Stop the run, limit Jefferson, and make the rookie win with what's left. That's a formula for a home win. And it's the kind of game that could set the tone for the entire season. We've talked before about how timing matters in the NFL. When you play a team can be just as important as who you play. Catching the Vikings in week 1 with a new quarterback, possible suspensions and injuries, that's a gift. That's the kind of break you hope for when the schedule drops. And when you get one, you take it. You don't apologize. You don't overthink it. You go out, execute, and take care of business. Because let's be real, there are no easy wins in this division. The Lions are legit. The Packers are surging. The Vikings, even with question marks, have talent all over the field. You're not going to be handed many chances like this. So when one comes your way, especially in front of your home crowd, under the lights with all eyes watching, you make sure you don't let it slip. Now, Bears fans, I want to hear from you. Do you think Chicago pulls it off in week 1? Is this the beginning of a new era under Caleb Williams and Ben Johnson? Or do you think Minnesota finds a way to spoil the party? Let me know what you think in the comments. But from where I'm standing, this is a golden opportunity to start the season 1-0 and put the rest of the NFC North on notice. Let's keep rolling with this because there's even more to unpack when you really dive into what this matchup represents. Not just for week 1, but for the trajectory of both of these franchises moving forward. This is more than a season opener. This is about 2 teams in the middle of a major shift. 2 new quarterbacks stepping into the spotlight, 2 organizations trying to reclaim control of the NFC North, and 1 game that could set the tone for the rest of the year. Before we continue, don't forget to subscribe to our channel and give this video a like. Your support helps us keep bringing you the latest updates on our Chicago Bears. And don't be shy, drop your thoughts on the news in the comments below. In a surprising turn of events that set tongues wagging across the NFL landscape, rumblings out of Chicago suggest that Bears head coach Ben Johnson may be looking to move on from running back DAndre Swift. While no official statements have been released by the team, Sources close to the situation report that Johnson has privately expressed discontent with Swift's fit in his evolving offensive scheme. According to whispers coming from Hallas Hall, Johnson has made it clear behind closed doors that Swift doesn't align with the long-term vision he has for the Bears' backfield. Some insiders claim the coach has grown increasingly frustrated with Swift's inconsistency and tendency to shy away from contact in key situations, a trait that clashes with the tough downhill running style Johnson reportedly wants to implement. Moving forward, Swift, who arrived in Chicago with high expectations and a solid resume, including a productive stint with the Lions, has had a somewhat turbulent tenure in the Windy City. Despite flashes of brilliance, he struggled to maintain a stronghold on the starting role, and his usage declined noticeably late last season. Whether this was due to injury, coaching decisions, or deeper concerns remains unclear, but Johnson's recent stance seems to paint a broader picture. Adding to the speculation is the fact that the Bears have been scouting running backs heavily this offseason, both in free agency and through the draft process. Although no transactions have been made, the interest suggests that changes could be on the horizon. Still, it's important to remember that nothing is set in stone. NFL locker rooms are no strangers to internal tension and shifting dynamics. What starts as a private frustration could either fizzle out or snowball into a full-blown roster shakeup. For now, Swift remains on the roster, but if the rumors are to be believed, his days in Chicago could be numbered. Only time will tell whether Ben Johnson's vision for the Bears includes a future with DAndre Swift, or if the talented back will soon be searching for a new home. That's it for this update. If you enjoyed the video and want to stay updated with exclusive news about our Chicago Bears, be sure to subscribe to our channel and hit that like button. We can't wait to hear your thoughts in the comments. See you in the next video.